15 line type,
A little off.
18 point body. This particular K from printable to printable is 16 3/4. It feels like I'm playing with Legos, like the color, because they're different colors, and I mean, they're much lighter than anything I've ever printed with, so it just feels like I'm playing with like toy type.
So with that in mind, instead of the inline K, where are the other ones? They're probably up
The
there.
other Ks are in there already.
Oh, yeah, just a thing so that if we build on top of it with another color.
Start with a red.
Or yellow.
Or yellow.
Or whatever, red or yellow.
Well, there's ink on it. It almost looks like uneven within the print. Like here, it looks like everything
well
around
could be.
it to right there got inked,
Yeah.
but then like right
Because there's a level of shrinkage.
here, there's a little depression too where it doesn't look like it hit. And
Right.
that could be one of those burrs. So.
Right, and there's a certain level of shrinkage that...
It's alright. I mean...
Okay, so when I get to the end, I come back.
Just go all the way in, grab the sheet off, and then bring the press back, right?
So let's flip.
Hold the sheet, and that worked out really not the way I wanted it to.
If we lower the rollers a little bit, that'll be good. You can see your high spots. Maybe a touch of sandpaper really quickly to smooth it
Down
out.
a little bit.
No, nothing's as it should be. You know what I mean? You're getting hollow, what I'm going to call hollow spots.
Right, but I mean, that's first print. There's a lot of adjustment to be made, so...
Well, I was feeling more when I was feeling the type, but you're seeing it in the print. There's high and low points. There's a lot of impression happening over here. So if a spot in the plastic doesn't have the support under it, is it getting pushed down? Is it getting hollowed out? So I don't know, you know, but sanding the surface, getting everything a little flatter will help.
Does the solvent, what's it doing when you're saying that it's...
See that
Oh
little
yeah,
spray right there?
it's taking away from it entirely.
But what I did is I took this and I set it down here and I dumped solvent right on it to see if it would eat it. And then I left it on there, and then a few seconds later I went and a giant like
Piece of
plastic
came
off.
Okay.
So just dabbing it doesn't really seem to affect it. This stuff evaporates so quickly that it's not going to stay on there.
Also, the more you do that to the surface of the letter, it's going to smooth it out and get rid of that texture we're looking for too.
Here's my interesting thing. This seems to be a nice flat base. Flatter
If we
than...
print it upside down.
Yeah, if you printed it upside down. So that's right on the flat surface. You know there's not going to be any variation in it if you print it upside down. Where that ends up being weird is where all of a sudden you have this counter.
Yep,
in
we'd
the
have to
block.
add the support to it.
You'd have to add the support and then chop it off.
Peeling out the support would be the difficult part. We had talked about that, and we were talking about possibly trying that, but there wouldn't be as much texture to it if we did it that way too.
So your goal is to have texture in the type. Unlike in wood type, we don't want to have texture. We want it to be completely smooth.
Right, but a lot of people, like they'll see the wood grain in the wood type, they'll see a crack in an A, they'll see a piece that's a chunk that's missing over here.
Sure.
They're like, oh, that adds character to it. So we're like, what kind of character can the 3D printer create as well? Just ever so slightly. It's either a little plastic powder, but if we...
So what are you doing there with the lighter? Talk to the camera.
It is basically, so when you're sanding this type of plastic, it creates tiny little powdery bits of plastic that you're sanding off. And by just grazing it with the lighter, you can melt those little plastic pellets down to nothing.
Same thing, right?
Okay,
Still
so that's-
compressed air.
grazing it with the sandpaper to see what happens. And do we want to sand down another one of them and try the air compressor as well?
Mine's the iced tea, but you can just set it somewhere else for now.
So that's very lightly and very carefully getting rid of those high spots.
And then your hand.
And that may be enough, I don't know. That might be enough to just roll with it.
Now,
All right. So
the idea is you're going to crank this all the way until it hits the end. Your hand should stay on top of the cylinder to keep the paper on the cylinder. So your hand's going to stay on top and travel with it. And then once it comes around, grab the tail of the sheet and pull it out and then roll it back.
just pop it off.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Is there a speed at which that it's best to do this? Okay. So just roll it and hold this up here.
Yep. And then that can go, and then you pick up the tail on the other end. Keep going.
Oh,
all the
like
way.
this, all the way to the end.
Oh,
Gotcha. And then
There it is.
there it is.
And now you haven't made your first print until the carriage is returned to its original place.
Oh, that's important to know.
So there it is.
That is not punching holes in the paper anymore. That's exciting.
It confirms a lot of
Yeah, that's exciting.
Confirms a lot of what you were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you need a drink or a cigarette. Or
Yeah, I know, right? It's giving me the vapors. What have we found so far? We found that by themselves, a little bit of alteration, but I mentioned that in getting this project set up. I said we might need to do a little bit of sanding, we might need to do a little bit of fancy melting work, but as long as it doesn't alter the core design elements that we're looking for, I'm okay with that. And that's exactly what we had here. And then we also found that adding a little bit more paper to the backing, getting a little bit more of a mush in the depression.
More impression.
Yeah, more impression. That's giving it a much nicer impression as well too. So we're getting somewhere. Kind of.
Because that's just these stacked up.
Is this a different size?
That one is, yeah. That's the big
That's
one.
the bigger one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to make it as simple as possible. But that's like the idea, the dream idea.
4-color type. Let's make it as simple as possible.
That's why I snickered when he said
Try
that.
to register these plastic beast things that we made. I don't care if it registers, to be totally honest with you. It's just going to be interesting to see how close we can come.
Then you gotta do the shadow, then the fill, then the inline, then the outline.
5
And what
times.
is this? Is this orange? So this is another
Who knows?
color?
Yeah, that's
No,
just
that's
trying
gonna
to say.
that's gonna be red.
That's gonna be red. Okay,
It's gonna be
good.
red.
Good.
It'll look good red.
Otherwise, 6 colors.
That's the only reason I brought it up. I was like, oh, another color.
No, that'll look great red.
How
Plus-
many are you printing?
Yeah, like that's the other thing. How many
I'm
are
at
we
his
trying to
mercy.
print? If we try to shoot for 50, we run 70 and hope for the best.
All right.
We just gotta figure out how many sheets of paper you got over there from Reach.
A lot.
Plenty.
That's the paper I like to run.
Yeah.
There's those.
Coaster stock.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
This
wanna
is
run
this is not a big deal. This will run really easy.
You can make me something cool and send it back. Free of charge.
This
How much
is-
money do you have?
This is.
is actually a pica bigger than your automark.
So we just push this then out, away from the center, and then just center that A within this. I wish we had extra letters to leave you guys too.
We do.
Alright, I'm gonna go over to the sink now and wash it.
Clean it up really well.
Yeah, it comes off so good.
Good.
This community of design is so small. Really, it's amazing how tight-knit it is, and you don't realize it.
30 by 14.
And then the world of type is even smaller. And then the world of letterpress is even smaller.
Okay, fine
Good.
color.
So the typeface, as it grew and merged, it became known as Fusion800. And that idea of fusing that old technology with the new technology is what the exploration was all about.
And every building process is a learning process. Every design brief we're given, we know that we're going to learn something while we're creating, while we're solving the problem that we've been given.
That 3D printed type became more than we had planned it to be. It was some crazy idea. Let's do some experimentation. Let's explore a little bit. Let's see if we can push the idea of 3D printing to become something more aesthetic, something more character, and have its own persona.
There it is.
There it is.
And that's the goal we set out to do. And I think Caleb would agree that, that's what we achieved after all.